Thank you, would-be Dr. Priya Shaw,
Thank you, sir.
for an excellent introduction. And I would have loved to see the pictures of Dr. Adhikari, Dr. Upadhyay, and Dr. Shukla. And I can see only would-be Dr. Priya Shaw's picture only. So I am not able to read the facial expressions of my colleagues. That is a disadvantage in this situation. Hope they are visible. We are talking about, I understand this topic has been proposed by eminent scholar in the area, the path-breaking scholar in the area, Dr. Nirmal Mani Adhikari, and who in the domain of Bharatvarsiya communication theory has become an institution in himself, as it's very clear from having a look at his research paper, in which almost 80% of the citations are from his earlier papers. That feels good to see a research paper by a friend which has many citations from his earlier papers, and the latest one improving on the earlier ones. So I want to congratulate, if he is hearing, if he is listening, Dr. Nirmal Mani Adhikari, for not only proposing the reorientation of the communication theory in the context of Bharat world that majorly is constituted today culturally by India and Nepal primarily. Actually, I would like to go a bit beyond this proposal of reorientation. When we talk about reorientation, we are actually presuming to carry over something, not only something, but majorly we are trying to carry over something from the past. It is the high time in today's era of massive data generation and fast communication, almost instant communication of the same data at the mass level, at the interactive level, at the horizontal level, at the vertical level, that we do a kind of ghar wapsi of the Bharatvarsiya communication theory. That is from the perspective of Nepal and India. भारत और नेपाल और भारत की दृष्टि से संचार के सिद्धांत की घर वापसी की जरूरत है. रीओरिएंटेशन से एक कदम आगे हम बढ़ चुके हैं. अब हमें इसको वह नाम दे देना चाहिए, और किसी को मेरी बात पे संदेह हो तो सिर्फ डॉक्टर निर्मल मणि अधिकारी का जो पिछले 7-8 साल का काम है वह उसको देख ले, जो उन्होंने साधारणीकरण का जो संचार का मॉडल है उसमें बताया है, और संचार योग अपनी संस्था के मार्फत वो लगातार इसको आगे बढ़ाते रहे हैं. आज जिस दौर में हम गुजर रहे हैं ये समझने की जरूरत है कि हम क्यों हैं और कहां हैं. आज जो दौर है वहां कहने का दौर है, सुनने का दौर है, एक एक तक पहुंचने का दौर है. वो टेक्नोलॉजी का फैसिलिटेशन हो रहा है, और उसी टेक्नोलॉजी की वजह से हमारे मित्र भारत और नेपाल और कुछ अन्य जगहों से इससे हम लोग जुड़े हुए हैं. इसी टेक्नोलॉजी ने, इसी कम्युनिकेशन के प्लेटफॉर्म ने हम लोगों को अपनी बातों को समझने के लिए सशक्त किया है, इसके उपयुक्त बनाया है कि हम आगे बढ़े. तो जब हम घर वापसी की बात कर रहे हैं, इसका सीधा मतलब है, I like to coin a word, we have become an intellectual refugee. For the last 100 years or so in the intellectual domain, we have been guided largely by the Western model, the Western way of looking at ourselves, that was devised at least in the Bharatvarshi context by Macaulay in 1835 and finally stamped or sealed in 1850s. The idea was to produce people through the education system who were only local or indigenous or native in their color, but they were actually the robots responding to the dictates of their Western masters. They call it brown skin and white mask. We have to change it. This change should be in the form of dharvapsi. We have to root ourselves into our culture, in our tradition, and our culture and tradition are very open. They are not closed to things. When they say eko sad vipra bahudha vadanti, truth is one, but is interpreted differently by the wise. We are by nature inclusive, as opposed to the Western model of looking at things, Western model of philosophy, Western model of politics, Western model of economy. Look at any aspect of life that has its roots in the Western society. That is about controlling some way, by hook or by crook, the others, that looks at the others as a target, as if we are to be hunted by them and they are the hunters. We are their prey and they are preying on us. Politically, we are free, no doubt, but intellectually, academically, we are still under their control. They are able to get things done by us the way they wish. Thanks to the modern technology, thanks to mobile, thanks to internet, thanks to other ways and means, because of which now mass communication has become equally interactive, real time. It's 24 into 7. That has empowered us to look at things from our own perspectives as well. And it is further, it has got impetus by the massive amount of data generated through the new communication technologies. For example, out of 130 crore population in this country, almost 50% of the population is having a smartphone. Almost 50% of the population is online, is using social media, and they are leaving their footprints everywhere. It is this technology which has helped us to guard, to gather strength, to gather, to put together our strength. Somebody sitting in Kathmandu, the other sitting in Dehradun in India, I sitting in Delhi, and many others in many other places. We are collectively now able to look at ourselves and retrieve ourselves. That is why I want to call it ये सिद्धांत निर्माण के क्षेत्र में, समाज विज्ञान के क्षेत्र में यह घर वापसी का दौर है. हम अपनी जड़ों की ओर लौटे, और हमारी जड़ें चूंकि दूसरों की जड़ों को नहीं काटती हैं, इसलिए हमें उसको लेके अपराध बोध से ग्रसित नहीं होना है कि हम खुद को पश्चिमी दुनिया से और पश्चिमी सिद्धांतों से काट रहे हैं. नहीं, पश्चिमी सिद्धांतों ने हम लोगों को हमारी जड़ों से काट करके हमें टापू बना दिया था, हमें द्वीप बना दिया था. हम अपने ही घर में टापू हो गए थे, नदी के द्वीप हो गए थे. अब हम सब एक दूसरे से कनेक्ट हो रहे हैं. इसका एक प्रमाण है कि आज हम सब इस मुद्दे पे, that is reorientation communication theory from the perspective of Nepal and India, इस मुद्दे पे बात करने के लिए हम सब वर्चुअली इकट्ठा हुए हैं. और इसको समझने के लिए हमें थोड़ा और पीछे जाना होगा. ये दुर्भाग्य की बात है कि भारतवर्षीय जो हमारा ये जम्बू द्वीप है, इस नेपाल और भारत के जो लोग हैं, यह दूसरे मजहबों के बारे में, मैं जानबूझ के धर्म नहीं कह रहा हूं कि धर्म तो सिर्फ सनातन ही है, दूसरे मजहबों के बारे में सोचते हैं कि वो आप ही की तरह उदार है. ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं है. और इसका एक बहुत बड़ा प्रमाण तो अरस्तु के कम्युनिकेशन के सिद्धांत है, जहां वो रिटोरिक की बात करते हैं, वाग्मिता की बात करते हैं, वाग जाल की बात करते हैं और अपने टारगेट ऑडियंस को मैनिपुलेट करके अपनी बात मनवाने की बात करते हैं। Where the communication theory, the foundation of the communication theory that was given more than 2000 years ago by Aristotle, is about manipulation. You are manipulating your target audience to make him or her do what you wish him or her to do to your advantage. It means you are allowed, theory-wise, in terms of theory, to mislead the person. You are allowed to convince him to take a decision to go against himself or herself. Compare it, contrast it with the concepts of Sahirday and Sadharnikaran, which have been very, very revised, modernized in terms of theory by Dr. Nirmal Mani Adhikari in his Sadharnikaran model of communication during the last 5-6 years. Look at this concept of Sahidaya and Sadharnikaran. Forget about Ras and Bhav and many other things that were originally given by Bharat Muni and fine-tuned and revised by Abhinav Gupta and later many other philosophers and thinkers from this part and from our part of the world. Sahridaya is about communion of heart, where two hearts or more than two hearts, two people are coming together with the same objective. Their hearts are the same. They are not to cheat each other. They are not to manipulate each other. So they are not supposed to be engaging in any kind of rhetoric. उनको किसी शब्द जाल में, किसी वाग जाल में, किसी माया जाल में एक दूसरे को फंसाना ही नहीं है। वे तो सहृदय हैं, समान हृदय वाले हैं, इसलिए इकट्ठा हुए हैं, एक दूसरे को अपनी बात कहने वाले हैं, जो जिसको बढ़िया तरीके से जानता है, चाहे कोई बढ़िया गायक हो, कोई बढ़िया मृदंग बजाने वाला हो, कोई तबला बजाने वाला हो, कोई सितार बजाने वाला हो, कोई नर्तक हो, कोई नाटक करने वाला हो, वह अपनी कलाओं से जो रसिक है उन तक बहुत साधारण तरीके से पहुंचाना चाहता है। साधारण तरीके का मतलब हुआ अपनी गूढ़ से गूढ़ बात को, जटिल से जटिल बात को और क्रियाओं को, अनुक्रियाओं को अपने दर्शक तक, श्रोता तक अति सरल तरीके से पहुंचाना, वही साधारणीकरण है। यानी उन तक जाना, उनको चीट नहीं करना, उनके साथ कोई फ्रॉड नहीं करना, कोई रिटोरिक नहीं करना, चाहे वो संगीत के माध्यम से हो, गीत के माध्यम से और किसी और कला के माध्यम से हो। तो these only two concepts of Sahridaya and Sadharnikaran, which have their seeds in Bharat Muni's Nathashastra and later on developed by Abhinav Gupta and many other communication philosophers and thinkers. And in today's time, our modern Rishi, Dr. Nirmal Mani Adhikari, has given it a shape that is in sync with the modern language, modern concepts, and also the modern mindset. Kudos to him. We need to look at it, and we need to gel the communication theory. We need to gel it with other aspects of life, political theory, social theory, economic theory, and the 6 systems of philosophy that we have had, which is unique to the Bharatvarshi culture ranging from Nepal to India of today. And it could be many other countries that are now populated by those who are anti-culture, those who are anti-civilization, because they look at past as something which is the age of darkness. Looking at past as the age of darkness is something that is anti-knowledge by concept itself. When you say Daure Jahiliya, or when you say myth, something which is preceding the Old Testament or the Bible, which means you are negating the knowledge that has been handed over to us through thousands and in thousands of generations that has also come to us through collective consciousness. You are erasing them from the memory of the people, and that way you are converting normal human beings into near robots who are out all out to destroy the civilization. As you see today, that the technological development ranging from east to west, north to south, is all about destroying each other rather than benefiting each other materially, economically, spiritually, intellectually, etc. It is only this part of the land. Whether you call it political philosophy, social philosophy, or economic philosophy, which are all wedded into one. It is only because of the individual limitations of the scholars that they have to be named differently. As human life is inclusive, as human life is one, the knowledge that describes us, our activities, our connection with nature, all this is just one. That is why they say eko sadvipra bahudha vadanti. The truth is all about our connection, interconnections permeating our life, animate and inanimate. जीवन से लेकर के और निर्जीव जो रूप हमारे आसपास है, हम एक दूसरे पे निर्भर हैं और इस निर्भरता को ही हमारे दर्शन, हमारे सामाजिक सिद्धांत, हमारे संचार सिद्धांत, सबको मिलकर जो सनातन धर्म बनता है वो हमें बताता है। तो हमारी चुनौती बहुत ज्यादा है। लगभग 150-200 साल की जो मानसिक गुलामी है, इस गुलामी से हमको बाहर निकलना है। हम इंटेलेक्चुअल रिफ्यूजी हो गए, हम बौद्धिक शरणार्थी हो गए। इस बौद्धिक शरणार्थी का जो मानसिक स्थिति है हमारी, इससे निकल करके हमको इंटेलेक्चुअल वॉरियर बनना है, हमको बौद्धिक योद्धा बनना है, बौद्धिक वीरांगना बनना है और हमें बौद्धिक रूप से घर वापसी करनी है, जहां पे निर्णय पहले नहीं लिया जाएगा, तथ्यों पे देखा जाएगा, वस्तु स्थितियों को सामने लाया जाएगा, उसके बाद नैरेटिव बनेगा। सिद्धांत निर्माण पहले नहीं होगा, पहले सत्य सामने आएगा, तथ्य सामने आएगा और सत्य के जो अलग अलग रूप है, तत्वों के रूप में बिखरे हुए हैं, उन बिखरे हुए तथ्यों को जोड़ने के लिए जो सत्य होगा वह सिद्धांत होगा और वो सभी विषयों को मिला जुलाकर बनेगा और वह एक बहुत ही सामासिक दृष्टि होगी और उसमें जो कम्युनिकेशन का सिद्धांत है वो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण होगा, क्योंकि यह डिसिप्लिन अपने आप में इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी है। कम्युनिकेशन के लिए हमें इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी कहने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि जो संचार का सिद्धांत है, प्रकृतिया अपनी परिभाषा से, अपने नाम से, अपने अस्तित्व से ही यह अंतर अनुशासनिक है, यह इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी है और कम्युनिकेशन सच्चे अर्थों में भारतवर्षीय सिद्धांत, संस्कृति, सोच सबको का प्रतिबिंब है। यही वजह है कि कम्युनिकेशन के सिद्धांत से संचार के क्षेत्र में भारत, नेपाल में खास करके ऐसे लोग पैदा हो रहे हैं जो लोग हमारे सिद्धांत निर्माण की प्रक्रिया से लेकर के सिद्धांत निर्माण और इसके लिए जो जरूरी शोध है उस पर ध्यान दे रहे हैं और जो शोध अब तक बाइबल से प्रभावित था अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से, या दास कैपिटल से या कम्युनिस्ट मैनिफेस्टो से प्रभावित था, या फिर ओल्ड टेस्टामेंट से प्रभावित था और कुरान से प्रभावित था, जहां पे निर्णय पहले लिया जाता है और डाटा बाद में कलेक्ट किया जाता है। हमारी तो संस्कृति ही कहती है कि आप तथ्यों को, चीजों को, जीवन को, आसपास बिखरी चीजों को एक्सेप्ट करिए। मतलब क्या हुआ? डेटा लेड नैरेटिव। सनातन तो डेटा लेड नैरेटिव पे ही टिका हुआ है। अगर बच पाया तो डेटा लेड नैरेटिव की वजह होने की वजह से दुनिया भर की दर्जनों संस्कृतियां, अमेरिका से लेकर के, अफ्रीका से लेकर के यूरोप और जगह पे अगर वो संस्कृतियां मिट गई तो इसलिए कि वो बहुत ज्यादा ग्राउंडेड नहीं थी, वो डेटा लेड नैरेटिव पे आधारित नहीं थी, वो कहीं ना कहीं बिखरी हुई थी। सनातन इसीलिए बचा रहा कि यह डेटा लेड नैरेटिव पे आधारित है और जो पिछले कुछ 100 सालों में इसमें हावी हुए वो नैरेटिव लेड डेटा वाले हैं। वो निर्णय पहले करते हैं और डेटा बाद में कलेक्ट करते हैं। और नई टेक्नोलॉजी ने इस नैरेटिव लेड डेटा गैदरिंग पे सवालिया निशान खड़ा कर दिया है. The speed and volume of data that are being generated through the use of new communication technologies that are all about massive interactive and personal communication also, not only mass communication. They are helping us, they are equipping us to challenge the theory building, challenge the narrative that are not database. It is in this context that we need to do a ghar wapsi. We need to do things which are about retrieving us, to rediscovering us. But it is unfortunate, and we just cannot deny it, because the intellectual traditions of the last, I will say, at least 150 years or so, is something that we have to recover ourselves, rediscover ourselves through the West. That is unfortunate. But for the time being, maybe for a decade or so, the frame of reference is going to remain the West. But we are going to collapse it like the Berlin Wall. We are going to make it irrelevant, at least to the extent they are into narrative-led data gathering. To the extent they are data-led narrative making, we are culturally, if not theoretically, we are culturally and civilizationally, in that sense, practically, we are open to accept such things without any condition. Knowledge has been such an influence in the life of an average Nepali or average Indian, or all those who belong, at least intellectually, to this culture and civilization. In this context, I propose, for the kind attention of Dr. Ilman Adhikari, his team, and others, a model which I call K2C3 model. K2C3 model because K comes twice and C comes thrice. First K is about the cognitive knowledge, the general level of knowledge about something. The second K is about customized knowledge. You are customizing the knowledge to solve a problem. Once you have customized the knowledge, which means you have made such an innovation. And since knowledge itself is a social product, knowledge itself is a social product. Thousands and millions of years of societal contribution to the knowledge in a field or all the fields empower us to take it further by adding a bit. So the cognitive knowledge level that you have, the general knowledge of in a particular area that you have, is the product of social knowledge. You are adding a bit to it, that is customizing it to solve the problem. You are innovating it. So the first K is about cognitive knowledge. The second is about, or general knowledge, or the second is about customized knowledge, that is innovation. And the third is, once you have taken the knowledge from the society, added a bit to it, now at the third level, you throw back that knowledge. You communicate that knowledge to the society back. You give it to the community. Then you give it to the community, that itself creates a certain level of a specific community from the universe called society. What happens? Then people in the know of it, who know that customized knowledge, who are maybe benefiting from it, or who know it, or both, they are coming together to make a community. And when they are making a community, they are not going to sit idle. So once you are customizing that innovative knowledge or innovative knowledge or customized knowledge, that creates community. And once community is created pertaining to that customized knowledge, they are giving feedback. They are responding to it bit by bit. That sample of the society the society through which the major knowledge has come, that sample which has now received the specific knowledge through solution of the problem is adding bit by bit to improvise upon it and giving it back to the general society. That is the third C. So K1, K2, C1, C2, C3, I call it K2, C3 model, where this role of the society is paramount in the creation of knowledge. As an individual, as a group, you are customizing it to solve a problem. Third, you are communicating it. Once you are communicating it, you are creating a community, and that community also is further communicating it is the form of feedback to the general pool of knowledge, and that goes on and on and on. And that is also rooted in our own culture and civilization, where we accept in the model itself the role of the society along with the role of the individual, where we don't talk about manipulation, where we don't talk about cheating, where we don't talk about rhetoric, where we are accepting the role of individual, a group of people with a specialized knowledge, and general people who have been contributing to knowledge over the millennia. That is a modest proposition to this August audience, and we can, to sum up my note, I would like to quote a couplet which I often quote to make my point clear because I don't have better words. उम्र भर गालिब यह भूल करता रहा, उम्र भर गालिब यह भूल करता रहा, भूल चेहरे पे थी आईना साफ करता रहा. All our life we have been looking at ourselves through the eyes of others, through the eyes of the West. It is high time we started looking at ourselves through our own eyes so that we rediscover ourselves. This rediscovery today might take a kind of detour. We go across the 7 seas to the West and then come back. That is what the current education system is mostly all about. But in very, very near future, in 5 to 10 years, we will not need to take a detour. We will be rooted in our own traditions of knowledge, civilization, and culture, giving it to the best possible way to the rest of the world, and taking it from them to the extent we feel comfortable with that. We feel civilizationally okay with that. We don't feel colonized by that. And thanks to technology, all this has started coming in, started pouring in. And thank you, Dr. Nilmani Adhikari, for proposing the topic. Thank you, Sanchar Yog, for organizing it. Thank you, Priya Shaw, for moderating it. Thank you, Dr. Raj Shukla, for initiating the discussion with very, very relevant examples, such as Mahapuskarna, which actually maybe to the best of my knowledge happens in Karnataka, not in Orissa. And that has the communication of collective consciousness, because in 144 years, there is no generation, almost 5 generations have passed. So there is no one to tell you what was done in the last Mahapuskarna. So that is through the collective consciousness. And the decoding of such kind of festival, Mahaparva, itself is a reminder, a challenge to ourselves. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
यस भिडियोलाई लाइक कमेन्ट र शेयर गर्न नबिर्सिनुहोला. फेरि यस्तै रोचक भिडियोहरू हेर्नका लागि यस च्यानललाई सब्स्क्राइब गरेर घन्टी बजाइदिनुहोला.